What am I supposed to say? We had so many miracles happen. Her dad was Muslim and her mom was Christian, and there were a lot of fighting going on.
For some people, kind of out there. It's a lot to take in. Not everybody thinks this way.
I said, that means you're healed. You are not healed. You have a lot of stuff to deal with. People are having visions and dreams, and Jesus is coming to them in their sleep. Prepare for her funeral, Daddy. She should have been in the grave.
And I want it to be about health and wellness. I want it to be about physical health, but also mental health, spiritual health. And this is huge, mind, body.
And I said to her dad, who was in Turkey at the time, snapped my fingers like that, and 3 light fixtures went pow, pow, pow. You come out of that darkness and you come into the light.
What's happening? Why is this happening? And I'm just so sad, but I let him live.
And I said, and you, Daddy, what just happened? I said, I think he came out of the darkness into the light.
They call you the spiritual cardiologist.
And then I turned to her and I say, am I supposed to be impressed? And she said, what? I said, you heard me. Don't you want to know what it's like for me to deliver the world of sin while sin is being dumped on me?
It was July of 2021. We're definitely different, and this podcast for me is, I want it to be different. I want it to be about health and wellness.
Right. So let's get started. I'm so excited. Thank you for coming, Angela. And I know people who don't know you, Angela Bertone, so they can find you definitely online, and we'll talk about all of that. But today we want to talk about a few things, but I think we're going to we're going to go off on tangents because that's kind of what we do.
Yes, we do.
But to give just a little bit of background, I'll give a little bit of background too, and then I'll let you take over. But you and I met, I had to look this up because I feel like we've been knowing each other forever, and that I feel like, oh, we're just friends. We just like talk all the time, which we don't,
Right.
which is so crazy. So it was actually 2021 my sister got in touch with you for brain core for her son. And then I was like, oh, well, Scout could probably use that. So then we did some brain core with him. And then it kind of snowballed into, well, there's some other stuff going on. Why don't you come over? And there's some stuff in between there. But then you came over to our house.
Yes.
It was July of 2021, which I cannot believe that's that long ago. It feels like it was yesterday. But then so much has happened between there. So it does feel like a long time. But you came over and you slept in one of the bedrooms, and we pretty much worked on Scout. And then so Spencer was at school at the time at Northwestern and in Natchitoches, which is 4 hours away. So he wasn't home for the first night, right? He came home the next night. I don't remember the story as much as you do, actually. You had better memory than me.
Well, I came to your home more than once. So I came and stayed a couple of days, I think, at your house.
Yeah.
Because I like to see the dynamics of the family. I want to see the body language, how your eyes look or don't look or roll. I like to watch all that because then I can get the dynamics of the family and the way it communicates or the lack thereof. And so I came back another time when I met Spencer, but I didn't meet Spencer that first weekend.
Time? Okay. But when did you stay in his bedroom? The first time?
The first time I stayed in his bedroom, I think 2 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the first time
That's the first time I came, right.
So the first time you came, you told me, and this is going to, because what we're going to talk about today is for some people kind of out there.
Yes.
It's a lot to take in, and it is, not everybody thinks this way. We're definitely different, and this podcast for me is, I want it to be different. I want it to be about health and wellness. I want it to be about physical health, but also mental health, spiritual health. And this is huge, mind, body, huge, huge. So before we even start that, they call you the spiritual cardiologist, which is so true. So you help us to work on our hearts, and then work on our hearts and our mind. And then over all of that, it heals so many other areas of our life that God gives you the wisdom to know what somebody's going through, and the blessings to be able to see all these miracles happen, which is just amazing. But back to the story was that you slept in Spencer's bed. You came out and told us that, long story short, that he was an addict, that he was having issues. And we knew he was at school when he was partying, but not to the extent. And lo and behold, that very next few months, he gets in a terrible accident and it all comes to head. Jesus brings it to light. What I thought was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I mean, God forbid I even say it that way. It sounds terrible. But as a mom, I thought it was, I was embarrassed. I was in shame of like, how could my kid do this? Why would he be doing this? Like he didn't grow up this way. He's not around, drugs and all these things. Went to a good school. We paid a fortune for him to go to school. Why is this happening? And then I remember one of the so the night that it happened, I send Marcus out and I'm like, go get him. Like he calls and says, Mom, I saved the voicemails. It's horrible.
Yeah.
just a heartbreaking, right? Heart-wrenching, and we can talk
I've
about
got
the
some of those saved on
story.
my phone. I
Yes, I
do.
mean, you know where I'm at. And so Marcus goes to get him. He calls me back and says, I can't, they won't let me take him. He has to go to jail. And I was like, what? He has to go to jail? And then he starts to tell me the story, and I am just bawling, and I'm sitting in my bed, and I am just like, what's happening? Why is this happening? And I'm just so sad. And God audibly, I hear, but I let him live. And I just, of course, cry again. So I'm going to make sure I don't cry now.
It's okay. Like, it's actually good for people to see that we're human and we do cry. And I call that season of my family's life the dark night of the soul that just lasted more than a night, right? Because
Yes.
it feels like one really bad dream.
Right.
Right.
Yours was 14 years, you said.
Yeah.
14
So
years.
yeah, ours started in 2010, and it was a 14-year journey from the onset of addiction to the recovery process. And so for now, for the audience, my son's been a recovering addict for 3 years now. October made 3 years. I'm so glad.
Yes.
And all those moments, whether it be jail or near death, all these different things in the moment while they're happening, there is a season of shame. But like, I can look at you today and you can look at me today and we can say, are we ashamed of our boys? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So if you're a mom or a dad out there listening and you hear us, and I'm kind of rescuing my friend right this moment, because I see
Get rid
those
of my
tears over there.
tears.
Yeah,
No,
letting
exactly.
you recover some, because I've been in your shoes.
Yeah.
We've walked the same path. And when we've walked the path of each other's sorrow, whether it's the death of a child, addict, a divorce, any trauma in our life, miscarriage, whatever they are, there's an instant bond. And that night when I slept in Spencer's bed, I literally smelled pot in my nose every time I went to sleep. I would get up and walk around his room and smell towels and like try to figure out where the smell was coming from. And the third time I woke up with the burning in my nostrils, I said, God, what is this? He said, Spencer's an addict and they don't know it. And I was like, oh gosh, well, how do I tell them that? Right.
Yeah, you
So
weren't here for that.
I wasn't there
You
for
weren't there
that.
for Spencer.
That's right. I was there doing brain core brain therapy, which is basically neurofeedback, because it does help with behavioral, physical, mental, emotional, all those different things. So yeah, you were the mom that was like, how could this happen to me? Sickness happens to us all. Sickness doesn't choose families based on their upbringing, their religious belief, or their education. And mental illness, one of my big bodacious worthy ideals is that I would change the way that America looks at mental illness and mental wellness.
That would be great. Yeah. Instead of just throwing medication at it.
Right.
That is healing
Or
them from the
stereotypical jargon.
throwing them somewhere. Right. That's the same thing we're going to talk about, is changing people from the inside.
Yes.
And making them heal their soul, their spirit, all the things
Yes.
that we talked about before. But yeah, so that was kind of interesting that you had pretty much prophesied that whole thing that was going to happen, and it happened. And that I preface that to say, because what we're going to talk about today and some of the miracles you're going to talk about today could sound like, oh, she's
That's woo woo.
crazy, she's woo woo.
Yeah.
But I've experienced it. I know that you are genuinely blessed by God, that you are generally a prophetic person. You hear him, you walk in his feet. You do the hands of God. You do his hands. You are his hands and his feet. And it's mine and his heart and all the things. And so everything that you tell us today, I just want people to have an open mind and listen to you, because I'm hoping that everybody can hear what we have to say. And even if they don't hear it all, we'll give more information, and they can contact you. They can contact me. I can get them with you. But just being open to listen to this, I feel like this is God's way of helping everybody that needs help, is through somebody. We're a vessel for him to help somebody out there. As many people we can help as possible in all different ways. And today we have some really interesting ways to help people. So I'm excited to talk about that as well. And that some neurofeedback, some different ways that we can do so many things between the brain and the body.
Yes.
And I just really heard about this. So I heard about it a few weeks ago, I guess. And I had a hygienist of mine came in and said, have you heard about these things? And I was like, does it have medicine on it? And she says, no. And I'm like, well, that's not working. Right. Very like, it's not going to work. And then the more research I did, and when I talked to you about it, and if you were on board with it, I knew that you had done tons of research and that you had read everything and knew every science dot, any period or an exclamation point. You were going to know
Yeah, my
it.
geek mind would geek out on
Yes,
it
you
for
were going to
sure.
geek out on it. Because even when you talk, I'm pretty geeky. And when you talk, sometimes my head is like, "Phew, that's a lot of information, you know?"
Yeah,
So we'll kind of keep it dummy down a little bit for
absolutely.
me so that I can know more about it today. And I even like tried to take some information like, okay, I'm going to say this is the technology. And then I was like, okay, Angela, this is you. You tell us about this technology that we're going
Right.
to talk about today and how it can help people. And then what areas, there's a bunch of areas that it helps. We may just focus on a few, but there's lots of ways that we can help a lot of people.
Right.
So
So
have
let's
at
segue
it.
back just a second so we
Okay.
can bring it. How do we blend these two things to these two concepts together? So when my son was in that situation where not only were we dealing with drug addiction, but we were dealing with psychosis. So
Mhm.
poor nutrition, however goes your bowels, how goes your brain. And when you're on drugs and alcohol, you don't eat healthy, you don't sleep well. Your quality of life, there's the hygiene, all that just goes out the window
Yes.
because it's when, how can I stay high or how can I not suffer? And that's the next fix, right? Whatever that is. And so I used a brain therapy. I became a brain therapist in 2019. I found a doctor that did brain therapy. And I looked at the statistics was 87% of the people who did behavioral therapy along with this brain therapy. So think of exercise for your brain. Think of
Yeah.
neuroplasticity. Um, those people had an 87% success rate even with heroin. And that's where my son had went from alcohol and pot and trying this drug and that drug and whatever, all the way to heroin. Heroin addiction is awful. It is there. I don't wish that on anyone. Even if I had an enemy, I wouldn't wish it on them. And so I knew that there was no way for him to deal with the addiction if we didn't get him out of psychosis. And I had seen psychosis in other people and I could see it come and go. So I knew that it could go. And I've seen psychosis come and stay, right? And so I thought, okay, well, if this brain therapy works, then how am I going to afford it? Because it can be very, very expensive, as you and I both know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I
One or two.
became your family's brain therapist
Yep.
and it was very effective. Doesn't take a long time, but it gives that edge to where the body and the brain can be reconnected in an original way rather than a traumatic way and fight or flight way. And so whenever I stopped being the brain therapist, because I don't like a 9 to 5. I just am not a 9 to 5er.
Told
But
you she's different.
I'm very different. And so clinical requires a similar 9 to 5 life. So I'm not into clinical, but I love all the clinical stuff. So I sold all of my brain therapy technology. And right after that, I had this dream. And I'm in the middle of being a life coach and a spiritual cardiologist and get the gut health healthy and lift some weights and let's get your proteins in and let's get some good sleep and water, all those things, because lifestyle is what really
Lifestyle's the
gives you
thing.
longevity.
Yes.
And so in this dream, I go into a classroom. Now, let me preface it with some scripture. The Bible says in the last days that God would pour out his spirit upon all flesh and we would have dreams. We'd dream dreams and have visions. And so this is what I believe happened to me. So in my dream, I'm in a classroom, Jesus is teaching me with a chalkboard, writing on the chalkboard and telling me things like, remember when you were young and your mom told you there was no such thing as a straight line and you had to argue with your mom? Yes, there is a straight line, Mama.
That's a true thing.
It's a true thing. There's no such thing as a straight line. Everything is spirals.
But the true thing is that he was telling you that you really did have that
I
argument with
really
your
did
mom?
have that conversation with my mom when I was young. And I'm laughing and I could feel like my mom was in the back of the class because mom's in heaven, but I couldn't see her. All I could see was the chalkboard, green chalkboard, and Jesus writing on it. And he's doing the same thing my mom did when I was little. Mom drew on a piece of paper, a straight line, while she told me there was no such thing. I said, Mom, you just drew one. She said, No, babe, this is not a straight line. I said, Yes, it is. She said, Go get me a straw. So she showed me the straw. She said, if this was one dimension, it would look like a line. But then she turned it. She said, it's a cylinder. And I went, oh, okay. So I'm in class with Jesus and he's telling me the same thing. He reaches up on the board, takes the straight line that he just drew off and he handed it to me, but it wasn't a straw. It was a spiral cylinder of light.
Okay.
And he said to me, I'm going to show you in the body what I showed Nikola Tesla in the science of electricity. Now, I didn't know things like toroidal and Polaroidal and sciencey words, and I'm not going to go into that with you guys because you probably like, what does that even mean? But I can tell you what a donut looks like.
Yes,
And
we all
so,
know
and
about
I
a
can tell you
donut.
what a straw looks like. And so this light looked like a spiral straw, like the old fashioned telephone cords, but it was
Okay.
strong.
Okay.
And so he's telling me stuff about it. And I'm like in my brain, I feel like I'm in a physics class and science and quantum physics. And I'm like, I'm not even taking notes. I'm holding stuff and listening. And so then he tells me to take the two ends and put them together, and it looked like a donut. And he
Okay.
said, that's what's on the Tesla coil. And I went, oh, I remember that. Well, then the next thing I know, Michael's waking me up because I'm tossing and turning. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm in class. I'm in heaven. And so I jump up and I go get my notebook and my paper and I go in my sunroom and I'm writing all this stuff down. And Michael teases me, calls me Rain Man sometimes. He's like, yeah. Jeopardy, you know. And so I'm writing all this stuff down and I'm trying to figure out what I just learned. Well, that evening, someone calls me about this neurotechnology. And I said, send me a picture. Because what God showed me was everything was spirals. Everything's a spiral. Well, your computer is zeros and ones. And if you look at a zero, it's a spiral, if you will. And a
Okay.
one looks like a straight line, but it's really
No, it's
not, right?
not.
Okay.
Just learn
And
that.
so he showed
Okay.
me all this geeky stuff. And of course, I'm a geeky brain. I love it. And I'm writing all this down. Well, somebody calls me about this technology. I said, send me a picture. And it was spirals. I said, I'm in. I don't need to know anything else. I'm in. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I had a dream last night. It's weird. Don't ask me about it right now, but I'm in. I want the technology. So as I began to research the technology, it's about, when I did brain therapy, I would do an EEG. We getting some beautiful rain here. Some of you guys can hear that, but that's okay.
It seems to rain every time I'm here.
That's okay.
Which
Rain, Jesus, rain.
Exactly, which I feel like God always has a plan. Like he's always like, I'm listening, I'm crying with you. I'm in here, I'm
Right.
with you.
So the spirals are on the shape, like a little code on this technology. And our brain on an EEG looks like a wave on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right. But in real life, the way the brain talks to the body is through spiraling energy of light and biomagnetics.
Okay.
So bio meaning two, or, like bi meaning two, magnetics meaning positive and negative charges, and electricity works on that. That's how alternating current works, is electricity and magnets. So
Yeah.
exactly what he was showing me with Nikola Tesla's in the body. He showed me the shape of the eyeball matches that shape that's on the Tesla coil. So are blood platelets, the cochlea in the ear, all these different things in the body.
Yeah.
Absolutely how it works.
Oh.
So we're like, Michael, I'm telling Michael all this stuff and I'm looking at this technology and I'm like, this is like the brain therapy I did, but affordable for everyone. And so our technology can, currently it works on 13 different symptomatology. And we have 2 coming out in February that works on other symptomatology. So I'll give you some examples. Pain, strength, stability. Pain is one of the number one causes of addiction, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's emotional pain or physical pain.
Yeah.
Stability is our number one indicator of longevity. And at age 65 and older, the number one cause of hospitalization or death is falling.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually can do something very inexpensive in this technology that has no ingredients, no drugs, no chemicals, no ingredients. It's a code. And people go, well, how could that work? The nerves in your skin. Have you ever felt like pins and needles when your hand falls asleep?
Mm-hmm.
The shape of your nerves is like a needle, right? So if you take a phonograph, this little round disc with spirals on it, right? And if I go, ooh, I have Elvis in this little disc, you'd be like, yeah, right. Here, let me show you. Put it on a phonograph, and now you hear Elvis sing.
Right.
I didn't resurrect him from the dead, and I didn't travel
like
back in time.
People don't know that, but like the record.
The vinyls.
Yeah, the
black
record
vinyls.
had to have the needle to read it.
You had to have the needle, and it had to spin.
Yes.
Well, your skin has needles.
Yep.
And your skin don't spin, but the light in it does. And the brain and the skin connect. Skin's your largest organ. Yeah. So our skin is not only the outside of our body, it's in our sinus cavity, in our mouth, in our esophagus, in our lungs, in our intestines, our colon, all from mouth to all of your ears, your eyes, all that tissue is fed through capillaries in a nervous system. And then you've got the vagus nerve that goes down the throat into the stomach. And that's where when something bad news or you see something that's like, oh, it catches your stomach and it hurts, or maybe you get irritable bowel, or maybe you vomit, or maybe you get nauseous, or anxiety can do
Even
all those
from
things.
emotional.
Emotional, that's right. So that's the world that I live in. That's the world that if I did tell you everything and we got a conversation, you'd probably be like, Angela, shut up. You're driving me crazy.
No,
But
not at
this
all.
technology here that, wait a minute, you mean I can reach for something that has no drugs, no ingredients, that's technology that I put it on my skin, and that can give my brain new information, like my ears can hear a song from Elvis? Yeah. And guess what? You can learn a new song. So do you know what neuroplasticity is? Okay. So for those in the audience who don't know,
Yeah.
a brain, when it has plasticity, means it's flexible. It's open-minded and available for new information. That's why learning is so important as we age. If you ever hear of someone being hard-headed, it's true. They actually have less plasticity in their brain because they're not flexible or open to new ideas. We can even call that cynical.
Yeah.
Well, when someone
Good way to
becomes
put it.
cynical, there is actually less blood flow, less open-mindedness. They're less apt to new ideas, new concepts. And that's why you can even see like a big divide in America when it comes to religion or politics or whatever,
Yeah.
because the fight or flight system also plays a part in holding your belief to be true if your belief you think is safe. If you think a different belief is not safe, then you're less likely to be open to that knowledge. So you're actually closing your
Protective
mind,
mechanism.
yes, through your fight or flight, and
Gotcha.
you're less you lose plasticity in your brain, the ability to learn and grow and collaborate. So this technology, we actually have a patch that you can put on that is, let's not say that, let's cut that one out. So we actually have technology that can address the fight or flight. And when it addresses the fight or flight, it can bring it back into homeostasis so that we can begin the process of healing, strengthening, and actually rest. When the body doesn't rest, we have high cortisol, high adrenaline, which means brain fog, memory loss, lack of true sleep, and we don't really actually recover. So that's where you get this chronic inflammation that is 75% of all disease. So, I've watched you, I've listened to you, we know each other, and I love what you're doing. I love what you're branching out into and doing in all the areas. And to see you focused in an approach that doesn't just address the physiological body, right? Because you can't really separate the physical from the emotional, spiritual. They're all one.
They're all one.
But they appear to be separate. And so we can take this technology and we can reconnect. So let me give you another example of our technology. I had a lady that lost a son about 2.5 years ago, and all the medication that she was taking, trying different ones. Great attempt at the doctors, love the doctors, not against her doctors, nor her taking the medication. It just didn't work for her. She was trapped in grief that was swallowing her life. Like she was a flickering candle in the wind. No, not even any pink into her cheeks. Like the life was gone from her face. So I was able to use this technology and give her new access to her joy, because the joy didn't disappear. She just didn't have access to it. We helped her fight or flight to rest. And we also were able to get rid of the ruminating thoughts. So what's a ruminating thought for a person who buried a child? Maybe the casket. Maybe when that child left their body. I don't know what the ruminating thought was. Exactly, but there's
you just don't want. As a mom, it's hard to even think about those things.
Well, they're there.
Yes.
So just like
You
when
know
you're
it's a
building a new
possibility.
business, or you have a fight with your husband or a fight with your kids or whoever, you lay down, that thought begins to ruminate.
Yep.
That's because the way the brain functions, the way the body brain connection and the heart brain connection. So our technology can address physiological issues like strength, stability, and pain, but it can also give you access to rest, peace, calm, joy, and making your brain leave you alone when you don't want it to bother you. Right? So that's the kind of technology that we have.
That's amazing. So, and I know there's a few peptides, and I've talked about before, peptides where there's so many peptides. And so I've done some of the research on those, and there are a few that can hit in some of those, but it's a synthetic, and you have to inject it, and it's a medication. You know, it's a pharmacy that's making those things. And there's times for all of those. There's times that you're going to need that, just like this lady needed medicine. She needed that to just get through that situation, I'm sure. But for you to be able to get her off the medicine, because you can't stay on medicine
And it wasn't
forever.
working.
And it wasn't even working.
So,
There you go.
so you have typical response and you have atypical
Yeah.
response, right? So atypical means not the same response as the average
Which
person.
nobody is the same.
Nobody's the
And
same.
nobody has the same response with any medication.
Exactly. So when you can do a non-medical, affordable approach that is something that's as
So
simple
easy.
as touching your skin,
Mhm.
right? It works as gentle as a light switch. You know, the light switch don't
Yeah.
hurt to turn it on and off, right? So to activate your body-brain connection, that's really what the goal, and that's what our technology is all
Yeah,
about. So when
totally.
they contact you, you know, through your podcast, right? They're going to be able to get all the details, all the information on how to make this happen. And if you would like, I would love to demonstrate.
Yes, we do need to demonstrate for sure. We'll do a demonstration for some of those because there's so many of them, like we talked about. And the ones I want to just touch on really quick, though, we're going to show strength, right? And
Yes.
stability. We'll
Strength
show
and
those two,
stability. We're going to do
which
a
is kind
couple
of the two
demos.
physical ones that we can see.
Right.
But this peace and joy, to me, is really big because I feel like these days, and we've talked about it, we talked about it on one of the last podcasts too, is that people are just so, and I perceive it as being since COVID, but I could be wrong. There could be something else going on that I just am not totally privy to. But it's like people are just angry. They're so angry. I feel like that we get a lot of anger. People either angry on social media, angry and on the street, or angry when you're driving. There's all this like anger, and it's like why are we all just so angry?
Yeah.
You know, and that's obviously there's something going on.
Yep.
Heart mind that we need to connect.
Yeah.
And if people know that they're angry, at least if you can identify it, then we can find a way to help you deal with whatever it is. Either you have to do some deeper digging to figure out where this is coming from. Because if we just put a patch on somebody, if I'm having a lot of anxiety over a situation, if I just put a patch on the technology, will the technology cure it completely? Or should I do the work previously, or do the work before? Or put the technology
Well, let's look at the brain
together?
therapy we looked at when you and I were using brain therapy for our children and for our family. Because I did it for
Yes.
myself. My husband did
I
brain
did it too.
therapy.
Yeah, I
You
was
did
doing
we
it.
did some brain
Yeah.
therapy. Um, your brain obviously doesn't function like a muscle, but it does have some components that we can compare to a muscle.
Yeah.
So your brain has memory, your muscle has memory, right? And your muscle, if you injure yourself, is going to remember that injury and try and protect you. If a new injury is perceived and is not even there. Okay. So that's your fight or flight. That's how it works. So a perceived something. So if you could bring your brain back to where, not that you forget, it's not going to wipe out a memory, but you're not constantly on edge of this is going to happen. Fear of death, fear of falling, fear of somebody hurting your feelings, fear of whatever. Then that's going to give you like, not a blank slate, but a fresh start. I don't want to wake up today, every day, and live today out of my yesterday's experiences.
So true.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what your fight or flight does. That's its job. Its job is to believe the worst.
Mm.
And scripture
Yeah.
says believe the best.
Right.
Right? Love believes the best. But your fight or flight doesn't. And you've got to be able to know the difference between you and your fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things this technology does is it gives your body the ability to be in the present. So if let's say you were missing a foot and the foot was burning and itching, but it's not there. That's a memory. That's not an actual present tense moment of pain or itching because the foot don't even exist.
It's not even there.
Right, not even there. So we can use this technology to retrain the brain to know that foot's not itching.
So
that foot's not burning.
Pain, they used to call
Phantom
phantom
pain.
pain. The phantom pain is just our memory. It's just our brain saying that, oh, this is still there and this is.
You can have the same thing in your shoulder, your knee, your back.
Yeah.
And of course, you still have a knee and a back if you're not having phantom, right? Because it's not. So phantom is when the foot's not there.
Right.
But this is when the injury's not there. So we've had people use this technology for, say, low back pain, and the brain can begin to remember these codes. And then all of a sudden, you don't use the technology. You're like, wait a minute, my pain's gone. Why? Because the brain can learn. Now, does everybody have the same plasticity of their brain? No. Some people are a little bit hard-headed, some are open-minded. But the good news is if you are open-minded even a little bit, you can become more open-minded. That doesn't mean that you're tossed to and fro and don't have any belief system. It just means that you're open to collaboration. You're open to new ideas and growth.
Right.
right? And so if you find it hard to learn, start with something simple because you can regain your ability, you can regain some plasticity. If a muscle atrophies, you're a dancer, right?
Yeah.
You work out. If a muscle atrophies because it's in a cast, you take the cast off and you can see the muscle is shrunk and hardened. What do? Physical therapy.
Right.
You
Work it out.
retrain it, you work it out, that eventually will
Mhm.
come back and
Build it
it
up.
may not be as big as it was like completely, but it could, depending on how
Yeah.
much work you're willing to do to tear that muscle down.
Yep.
Because every time we lift that weight, what are we doing? We're breaking those fibers and
Mhm.
we're
And
given
repair.
new memory so it can say, oh, we better build back stronger. Let's build back stronger. Every time you break it down, let's build back stronger. And so you can do the same thing with the brain. The brain can begin to thrive and get more blood flow and more oxygen and go, ooh, we like learning. We
Yeah.
like these new bits of information. And so, yeah, you can actually change the health of your brain with diet, exercise, sleep, neurofeedback.
Yeah.
It's like a workout for your brain.
Which is awesome. I always say that if you're not learning, you're dying because you're going in reverse. You might
Right.
stay still for a second, but it's not for long. And there's a few things like I feel like we don't see God and we don't see, but the majority of I should say the majority of the world, no, not really. The Christians in here, which we're hoping there's more eventually, like we can get more Christians and help people believe this as well. But there's a lot of things that are in the world that we don't know how it happens. We can't see it, and it's working. And I think that's a lot of times people are more closed minded. If they don't see it, I can't see it. I can't believe it. Even me, when I said, just have medicine on it, well, then it's not going to work. Like that's your first thought. But it's opening your mind to the new things and to the things that we cannot see that are working and that can work
Yeah,
for
smell
us.
works.
For sure.
Like
That's why we can't see
have you ever
smell.
smelled a
So
smell
true.
and all of a sudden your memory floods and you're remembering your grandma,
Yeah.
and whatever, or you hear a song and you remember your puppy love from high school. Why I don't think I still love him. Why does that feel like that? It's a
Your puppy
memory.
love.
It's
Yeah.
it's just the hypothalamus was triggered through that
Mhm.
song, and then it began to play the memories in your body, and then your
Mhm.
body responds biomagnetically, chemically.
So tell me about dementia and Alzheimer's. This is something you and I haven't even talked about yet, but talking about the brain, talking about plasticity in the brain. I know, and the inflammation is huge, and that's kind of where it starts. The plaques start to form, our frontal lobe or in the brain, where we're starting to get these people that have getting dementia and Alzheimer's. I'm seeing patients younger and younger that are getting the same thing, which is so sad. And they say there's no cure. They say there's just medication to prolong the inevitable. What are you seeing, if anything, that some of this technology can work? Can we get that? If they're more plasticity, will it build less plaque?
So I don't know the answer directly to that question, but I will tell you what I do know about neuroplasticity and brain health. Brains can actually they can't heal what's been dead or damaged like through trauma or whatever, but they can create new pathways.
Yes.
And you can increase blood flow. So when I have a family member that comes to me and they're struggling with someone in their family that has, cognitive decline, let's
Yeah,
call it
memory
that.
loss,
So if
stuff
you
like
got
that.
cognitive decline of any kind, what do? Number one, you need movement because you got to have blood flow. And if you don't move, you're not going to get blood flow to the brain the way that you need it to be. You need oxygen. So just breath therapy. People
Yeah.
don't breathe deep. They don't use their diaphragm to breathe. So sometimes we do neuroplasticity, neurofeedback with like muscle and strength, and the diaphragm is a muscle. And they'll go, "Oh my gosh, I'm breathing deep," and they don't even realize that it's a
Making me think
muscle
about my breathing
response,
right now.
right? Yeah. So you stand up straighter and you start breathing with your diaphragm, and
Yes.
like a singer would or whatever. So when the brain learns new information, you're not going to recover that old pathway that is dead, but you can build a new pathway,
Mhm.
right? And so the more new pathways we build, the more neurotransmitters we have, the healthier our bowel is. And you heard me say this; I won't say the bad word
This is
but
fun.
yeah,
First
it's
time I ever heard
family
this was
friendly.
yesterday, but
But
yes.
we've heard the thing, blank for brains or crap for brains or poop for brains. The bad words what we hear in the world, but
And it's a
that
true
it's a
thing.
true thing because whatever your bowels, your compost bin, and you're the tree, right?
Okay.
So the more healthy your compost bin, the more healthy the canopy is, and the canopy is this neural network in your brain, and
That's
it
a
looks
great way
like
to
a tree. It's
think
even
about
called a
it.
limbic system. A limb, Limb. The limb is
Yeah.
where the fruit is, and you have these neurons on your little branches in your brain, and that's all your aha moments. So just like when you have a garden, you're like, oh, and the fruit's coming, but when you see it, you just get so excited,
Yeah.
So it's the same way that you have to look at it like as an overall approach. And what we offer in neurofeedback therapy is not a one and done. It's a part of the process. It's just a part of, I work my body out to keep my body healthy, to keep my muscles there. If I don't have that, then I have a 40% chance, greater chance of having a chronic disease, right? So that's why we want to keep our muscles strong. And when your muscles are strong, even while you're sleeping, it's helping your brain to clean itself every night and do the things it's supposed to do. You need to get into REM sleep, all those things. So it's really more like a lifestyle approach. And we're now finding out that we can affordably incorporate neurofeedback. Like, what, it cost me 40 grand to be a therapist and have all the equipment.
Right.
You know, so of course it was expensive to offer. And I did that in a very short period of time because time was of the essence. My son was dying.
Yeah.
Right. And so while I was studying and going to school, I paid for his neurotherapy. But once I was done with school, I became his therapist. Right. And so yeah, now we can make this affordable and like you could just put it in your purse.
Right. That's so awesome.
Or put it in your
But if you
pocket.
think about too, like medication that you're taking, our medicine's not cheap. Of course, they want to keep us on medication though. So if we go down that rabbit hole, it's going to be a bad one. But
yeah, and
you know,
liver
I mean,
and kidney
all the
function that's
things.
compromised as a result, and cognitive function. So
All
there are
because of this
certain
medication.
yes, certain medications, if you stay on them longer than the temporary time you're supposed to, if they become a lifestyle,
Right.
your cognitive decline increases by something like 80% with some of
I
those
can believe
drugs.
it for sure.
So you're just dementia and Alzheimer's waiting to happen.
Yep. And then this is going to shut down. That's going to shut down. And it's just this roller, this big snowball of effects to your body to just pretty much kill you sometimes. I
That's
feel
right.
like, you know, my dad's a pharmacist, so I shouldn't talk bad about medicine, but at the same time, it's not the end all. It's not the way it was created to be. It's created to help in a short term,
right,
and then be off of it and be healthy. And right now, it's not been being given out that way. I don't think.
correct.
I feel like in our medical society right now, we all kind of talk about it. It's gotten to be very difficult for somebody to just to see a doctor and them not give you a prescription.
Right.
And that I don't want to sound. I love my doctors. Doctors are smart people, but they're overworked and they're in a system that's failing.
That was what I wanted to point out was the system is the problem.
It's not the doctor.
It's not the doctor. I have a lot of doctor friends and I'm so grateful for the doctors, and I'm grateful for medication when it's appropriate.
Absolutely.
So
Yes,
one of
yes,
the
you
things
need
I
it.
teach people is be your own advocate. And when you do get a prescription, you ask your doctor, hold up a second. Will I live without this? Can I recover? Will this make me well? See, a cast don't make my leg heal.
Right.
A cast holds my leg in place while it heals. Most medicine does not heal you. It only mitigates a symptom while your body heals itself.
Correct.
However, now you've added, in some cases, not all, but in some cases, you've added an added layer of filtration, and you compromise the body because it has toxins it's got to get rid of. So have a good relationship with your medical doctor, ask great questions, and be a fantastic advocate for yourself. And if you don't know how, hire somebody to go with you and be your advocate
Right.
until you can be your own advocate.
Yep. And when somebody's in the hospital, I usually tell them that please bring somebody with you, because if you're sick, hurting, in pain, somebody else has got to ask those questions and has to know that, not just to let them just give you whatever medications
Absolutely.
out there, because that's, you know, sometimes that's all they know is this one road, and there's other roads there, but they're not going to, and they don't have time to learn this with the peptide. Same thing. Most medical doctors, when my patient says, well, I'll go talk to my doctor, but I'm trying to get them off of all this gook, you know, that's just stopping up all their system. I'll talk to my doctor. And I'm like, you can, but they don't know. And it's not their fault. They don't want to learn something else. They've got so much in their brain.
Well, and
that
they have
need
to
deal
follow
with.
a protocol
And
for.
they're following their hospital protocol, doctor protocol, whatever it is.
Yes. So they've got their malpractice insurance, right?
Yeah.
And your
Which is not
malpractice insurance, you're out of business if you don't have it.
Correct.
That's number one.
You have
So
that.
if in the malpractice regulatory guidelines, you must follow this system.
Right.
If you don't follow that system, your malpractice insurance don't cover you.
Correct.
So, and how do I know that? My personal doctor told me. I said,
Yeah.
Doc, I'm at 1% chance of heart disease. Why did you give me a prescription for Lipitor? He's like, well, Angela, I have to or you could sue me. I'm like, wait. You're not giving me Lipitor because I need it. You're giving me Lipitor because I'm at 1% risk of
Because
having
then
heart
if
disease?
you get heart disease and you come back and say you didn't give me, then they're liable.
That's
it's
exactly what he told me. And I said,
such a hard
but Doc,
situation.
I said,
So true.
if you put that in my chart and I'm ever asked on an application, have you denied or refused treatment? I'm going to have to say yes. And I'm not going to lie on my application. So do me a favor. How about you tear this prescription up and you send me a referral to a cardiologist. He's like,
clear as you.
okay.
There you go.
See, now he's clear. And I
Right.
go to cardiologist said, Lipitor for you? You don't drink, you don't smoke, you're not overweight. This was like I was probably 30.
Oh, wow. It's a long time.
Yeah, I'm 60. Yeah. So I mean, that's a big deal for a doctor to do, but I never understood the he's between a rock and a hard place.
You are. Yeah.
So as a doctor, so that gave me a lot of respect for what he's going through. Whereas I think a lot of people just want to throw the baby out with the bathwater because we have a system of medication, synthetics that are pushed on people that we put everybody in that boat and it doesn't fit. Right.
Yeah. That's why I feel like between the peptides and all the preventive medicine, if we can just start going towards preventive medicine, Big Pharma's not going to like it. The medical doctors aren't going to know about it at first, just because, like I said, they're busy. They're busy people, and they'll have a lot of patients to deal with because a lot of patients are sick and on medication.
Yeah.
So we can get the word out to everybody. That would be amazing. The more people we can get to, that's what I just kind of say, shout it out to the masses for sure. I know you're doing a really good job of it.
Thank you.
Talking to a lot
you
of
are as well. I'm
people.
watching you all the time. I'm loving what you're doing.
I'm trying. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
It. Well, let's go do some work.
Okay.
Yeah, the fun stuff. So show us what we got.
Okay, so what we're going to demo first is we're going to demo the strength that you have access to. So what we want you to do is I'm going to give you this weight.
You gonna pick that up?
Oh yeah, I'll pick this up, right? And now I'm going to have you exhaust your muscle. You're going to use your dominant muscle, which is your right hand. So go ahead and work out with it like you normally would. Now, you normally wouldn't work out with a 15-pounder, would you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, unless Spencer's trying to kill me.
Right. But that would not be your traditional workout size. Okay. So once you feel like you've burned that muscle and you're exhausting that muscle, go ahead and take a break.
Anyway.
All right, there you are. How many was that? How many do you think that was?
7.
Okay, that was 7.
Yeah.
So that would definitely not be your normal workout because you want to get 3 sets of 15 or 3 sets of 10 in, right?
Right.
So let's go ahead and just maybe do like a little cool down for a second. And I know you did this yesterday practicing. Which arm did you work out yesterday?
I think I ended up doing both. I filmed both of them, so I wasn't sure what we're going to do today.
Okay.
I didn't want to.
Okay, we're good because both arms got worked out.
Yes.
Are you sore at all today?
I was a little sore.
A little sore? Okay.
Yeah, I don't normally do. I don't think I normally do 15. Spencer has all my numbers down there, but it felt like it was heavy.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do. Typically, I'd work out with 8 to 12.
Yeah.
But if I'm gonna do 12, I'm trying to go up on my strength. But I'm not really looking. I want my shape to my arms back, right? I want whenever like you could before you couldn't even see that I had a shoulder. It was like all one, right? So we're getting there.
Working on it.
I'm working on it. That's right. Yours looks great. So this is a good deal. Okay, so go ahead and try it again. See what you can do now. You've rested, I guess, what, 30 seconds maybe?
At least, yeah.
Okay. 1, 2.
It's heavy.
3. So 4 is about your max to really get that up. And notice she threw that body weight in there. Okay.
I'll
So
see if I can.
in the process of waiting, what we're going to do now is we're going to just give you access to more use of that muscle. So let's put this on your arm. And this is a neuro code. If you feel that, it feels kind of like a ridges on a record. Let me give you this and give you a break for a second. Right? And so this is actually the last generation, if you will, of this size. They're actually smaller now.
Oh, wow.
And the adhesion's a little bit, well, actually a lot stronger now, so that you're not got some of these, might not last a full 24 hours. I mean, we haven't had any complaints, but we're wanting them to last a good solid 24 hours. And so now we have a little bit smaller, but much better adhesion for it. So now, how many seconds have you think you've waited now?
Probably 30, huh?
Okay, I don't know. We're guessing.
45.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to guess how many times you think you could lift it. How many? You did 3 just a moment ago. Is that right?
No, 4.
You did 4? Okay.
Well, 4 was cheating.
Okay, 4 with cheating. All right.
I did 4.
So let's see what we can do now.
Okay.
It's hard when you use a weight that you don't normally use. 3. And you did 4 without falling backwards. 5. Okay.
Okay, no, I didn't think I would do 5 because it was hurting.
6.
Not hurting as bad.
So she's 2 above what her exhaustion would be. 7.
7, I'm getting
Now, and you probably have to swing on this. I don't know. there you go. So it was that 7 or 8?
Double. That was 8.
That was 8 different.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing because you shouldn't have been able to do that. So you take the patch off. And let's give it another.
Can you do it again?
If you want to, you don't have to. But you just
Okay.
notice the
That's a good idea.
difference. Here, I'll just hand this to you and I'll take the patch from you. But just notice the difference of what it feels, their access to your muscle. Holy moly,
Sure.
it's hard.
Yeah. I
So-
feel like the hard that comes up here when you're trying to like lift,
Right.
using muscles that I probably should only use my.
Right. So you people say you have to work out the other ones tomorrow. Yeah.
This is
Now, another thing is your recovery rate will be better when you wear that. So once I take it off, then he's not that great. So we'll just, we'll give you another one. You don't get to keep that one. No. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to test. Let me grab this over here.
Okay.
We're going to test your stability. And so, like we've mentioned earlier in the podcast, our stability is the number one indicator of longevity. So we work out, we do all these things. Wow, we want to live long, but not just live long. We want our vitality, right? We want our quality of life. So if you would just face straight ahead, shoulder width apart on your feet, make a fist and put your hands to your side, and just resist me and don't let me tip you. And there you go. Of course, you do have spikes on right now. So we're going to do the other side.
I'm working. I'm really, really trying to not let you.
And you're a dancer. You're a little bit stronger on that side. Okay.
You just work this arm out.
I know. Hand over fist. Feet together.
Feet together.
And I'm just going to pull straight. I'm not going to pull you. I'm not going to push you. I'm just going to push straight down and see if I can tip you. Yes, I can tip you. Okay. So now we're going to give you access.
I'm competitive. I don't like to fail.
Well, you're just going to show you how much better you're about to live your life.
Okay.
Right? So this is going to, you can put it anywhere. It doesn't matter.
No matter where.
The only ones that matter where you put them is if you have pain.
Okay.
We're going to put them between the pain and the brain.
Between the pain
Okay.
and the brain.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we do.
Okay.
Anything else, you can put it anywhere you want.
Anywhere
Okay.
I want to.
So again, step forward, shoulder width apart, make a fist, and do not let me tip you.
What? No way.
Is that crazy?
No.
We're doing dirty access to the hemispheres of the brain. So here we go. Do this. Hold this. Don't let me tip you. Is that crazy?
That is so crazy.
Fine. Hand over fist. Put your feet together.
Okay.
Put it on your chest. And then don't let me push you. Don't let me tip you.
Come on, Angela. You can do it. You can do it. I'm winning.
Is that crazy? I mean, Margo. Now let's take it off.
Oh.
Take it off and watch what happens.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Can you believe that? I'll see if I can save this one for you so you can wear it the rest of the day. I'll try and save it. Nancy was going to be fantastic for you on that. And the muscle as well, because you do a lot of strenuous things on that. Okay, so shoulder width apart. Tighten your fist. Resist me. Don't let me tip you.
Gosh, that is so. Okay, that one's crazy.
Here we go.
That feels really insane.
Feet together. Now, remember, I put my whole weight on you just a moment ago.
Yeah, take off the shoes. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome.
Then put it back and you can have your strength back.
Thank you. It's like Wonder Twin powers activate.
Yeah. Aren't you glad we did this demo?
Yes, I am so glad we did the demo because
Yeah.
it's so huge, so much better than even just talking about it.
That's right.
It makes it so real. This is amazing. This can be.
Okay, so let me just tell you just a quick story for your audience, right? So I brought this to a doctor's office, very well-known doctor, and she had clients that shuffled because of whatever their cognitive decline was, right? Put this patch on them. She sent me videos of them walking, picking their feet up and walking. So the quality of life that you are able to give to your clients is instant, like a light switch. Not only is the quality of their life, but longevity,
Yeah.
stability,
Yeah.
right? All these different. And then let's say you have somebody who hasn't worked out in a long time, and they got all this muscle memory of being atrophy, of just being sedentary, right? And you put the victory patch on them, and now their muscles can go all the way and loosen all the way. You're kind of like saying, hey, don't remember that.
Yeah.
Let's start fresh. You give reconnection from the brain to the body. That's what we do. And it's affordable.
Yay.
It's affordable.
Body. And there's a bunch of different things you can cure with.
Yeah.
You can wear.
We don't cure. We support.
Yeah.
We definitely support. And so what are we supporting? Your body can't function without clear access to the brain. So if you had a record on a, had 45 record and you put the speed at the wrong speed, it's either going to sound like a mouse or a drunk person, right? And so it's got to be the right speed and the right message. So that little feel that you can feel on this, it's like a record almost, right? So your nerves, like a little needle, has that light or that energy spinning. It's at the right speed, right message to the brain, and the communication between the brain and the body is restored.
Technology it's amazing. Fabulous.